Hi everyone, this week I'll be talking about my new Hydropod Propagator, which is like a hydroponic type propagator for rooting cuttings. So let's take a look and see how well the cuttings have done. So I've got my Hydropod Cuttings Propagator in my utility room, and you can see that the polycarbonate roof lets in just diffuse light, which is really good. So I've got plenty of light, but it's not too intense. So it won't dry the cuttings out too much. So here's a bit of a closer view of the propagator, and there's different sizes that you can get. I believe there's 20, 40, 80 and 100, something like that. I actually have the one which has 80 cuttings in there, and you can see that on the top there's some vents on the top, so you can close them like that to actually keep the humidity in there, or you can actually open back up to make sure it doesn't get too humid. The weather here today is really quite hot, so it's about 26 degrees today, and so it's important to have some ventilation in there because it could get too much. So obviously I'll take the lid off and we'll have a look inside. First of all, I'll just unplug the I'll turn off the switch just to turn off the water inside, so it's a little bit quieter. And if I just pull off the lid, and then we'll have a look inside. I'm just going to tap all that condensation off the lid. So then you can see that some of these cuttings are doing really well. So some of these I did only yesterday, so obviously those won't be rooted. Whereas some of these bigger ones here, they've been here for about a month or so. As you can see, there's a good range of plants here. So we've got alamander here, this tall one, which is a tropical climber with bright yellow trumpet flowers. We've got some Turnera, which have yellow buttercup like flowers. There's a hydrangea there, blue hydrangea. There's a Rothika, which used to be a clerodendron, that has beautiful blue butterfly type flowers. One of my favourites, we have a Tibushina, that will have purple flowers later on. One also favourite of mine is the Persian Shield, or Strobilanthes diariana, with those gorgeous, almost metallic like leaves. I've got Kufea ignea, which is a cigar plant with orange tubular flowers. Some gorgeous irisines. This is Brilliantissima. And I've also got some very unusual plants called Lea guinensis. This one here almost looks dead, but you can see there is some new growth on the side. So let's have a look underneath. So of course I'm not expecting any roots from the ones on the right here, because those were only taken yesterday. But if I lift up the cover here, you can see, wow, the irisines are well rooted there. And even right at the very back corner there is the Lea guinensis, so I'm really happy about that. The root is actually going into the reservoir of water. So as you can see, it holds water in the base. There is a pond heater there which you can control the temperature at. So currently the water here is 22 degrees. And these are the sprayers, so when I switch that water on, these sprayers, the nozzles there, the red, will spray water at the bottom of the stems so that it will encourage rooting. So the stems are consistently sprayed with the water. So you can see now that one of the cuttings has popped out. That gives me a good opportunity to show you how these cuttings are put in. So you can see here, these are like a styrofoam sort of collar that can be easily opened out wider, and then you put the cutting in. So you're looking at cuttings of about what, 4 inches or 10 centimetres in length, and obviously cut below a node there, so that's where the most of the natural rooting hormones are found, the auxins, just behind below a node where the leaf joins the stem. And you can see I've chopped the top off above the leaves, and with some of these I've actually reduced the leaves by half to cut down on transpiration rate or water loss through the leaves. So I'm just going to pop that one back in. This is one of the ones that I only did yesterday, so that's going to pop back in there, and I'll just firm that one down. So let's have a look at some of the others. Now these are amazing. I had a sneak peek earlier on. So wow, look at those roots, absolutely fantastic. So a good range of plants have rooted really well. The strobilanthes, the tigushina has started to. Right at the very bottom is the alamander, which I'm really pleased about. Not everything's rooted, so the ones that took longer to root, I would say these tecomarias here, those haven't just yet, but I'm not going to give up. Some of them have got white dots on the cutting. Those are called lenticels, and that's a sure sign that they're thinking about rooting. It just means that they're going to take a little bit longer. But I'm sure you'll agree, most of them have rooted really well, so I do recommend this propagator. What I'll do, I'll pop these on shortly, and then obviously eventually I'll change all of this water. It's been in there for about a month now, so I would like to empty it out. So right, I'll just pop this down and then I'll start potting on the cuttings. So I've just took out this section of cuttings. I'm going to carry them down to my shed so I can pot them on. See those fantastic roots, and I thought it would just give a real good opportunity then to switch the sprinkler system back on in the propagator to show you the water spraying out of those nozzles, obviously with the lid on so it doesn't go everywhere, and you can see how it's sort of spraying all over the lid. So plenty of humidity, which of course is key for cuttings to root. So let's go down to the shed now, and I'll show you how I'm going to pop on the cuttings. So it's a much cooler 23 degrees in my shed, nice and shady as well, so the perfect place to pot on these cuttings, nice and cool. And you can see here I've got some compost. This is peat based compost, but I've now made the switch to peat free compost. I'm just using up the last of the peat based here. And you can see I've got a cell pack there, 6-pack, which are perfect for potting on these cuttings. They're the perfect size, and also the compact, being that they're all close together, it would take up a lot less space, and I do have quite a few cuttings to pot on, so space is at a premium. So I've got the strobilanthes or Persian shield cuttings here. So as you can see, I've popped them out. They're very easy to just pull out the top of the tray, and you can see that they've got a fantastic root system as I showed you before. And the collar there, I can just open this out and take the cutting out very, very easily, like so. And I can just give these collars a rinse in soapy water, dry them out and reuse them again. They say you can reuse them about 4 times, but we'll see. I'll obviously use them as much as I can. So nice strong root system. So I'm just going to put a bit of compost in the bottom of each tray, each cell I should say of the tray, like so, and then place that in there. And of course, if I bury a bit of the stem, it will actually make sure that any other nodes that are along the stem buried in the compost will actually root, so it'll actually help you know, the plant to get a real good root system. So dead easy, putting these on. So satisfying getting all these plants for free, obviously. And I don't actually have any strobilanthes in the garden at the moment, so these are a welcome addition in a shady spot. Very exotic, and you can see the gorgeous sort of purple undersides to the foliage as well. Absolutely stunning. Obviously, if you've got a lot of plants that look very similar, it's a good idea to label them up using a white marker such as that, and use pencil on there, never permanent marker. Permanent marker can often come off. But obviously with these, I'm going to make sure that I pot on cuttings that are very different to one another in the same tray so I don't get them mixed up. So next is the alamander. Absolutely fantastic root system. And you can see the foliage already on the top. One of my favourite climbers, really exotic of course. Big bright yellow trumpets, really sunny yellow. Be fantastic to try this in the UK outside for the summer. It's tender of course like a lot of my plants, so I'll have to bring those in for the winter, but we're really cool to see how it does in an English climate. So I've got some other alamanders here. I'm going to put these back in the propagator a bit longer because as you can see it's got a tiny bit of root there. I'll just make sure it roots a bit more, and this one hasn't rooted at all yet, so I'll pop that back in and it should root in the next couple of weeks. One plant that has rooted really well is this a califer, and this will have long red catkins. Again, I haven't tried this one outside in my garden before, so it'd be really cool to try that. I can just about get the roots in these cells here. I'll just carefully tuck them in. Those in. And it's really important that when I've planted all these cuttings, to give them a real good drink. Of course they've been used to rooting in water, so I will give them a real good soak so that it'll make their journey from water to compost a bit more easy for them. So the last cutting now. And like I say, I will give those a real good thorough drink, and I'll return these back into my utility room now, where they've got used to the diffuse light in there. It's out of direct sun, which is important, so I don't want these scorched or wilting, and I'll keep them in there for a couple of weeks, keep them well watered, and I'll then gradually move them to the sun before putting them out in the garden, in the ground, or potted on into larger pots. So I've potted on these cuttings here now, give them a thorough soak with a watering can and a rose, so absolutely drench the compost as well as the foliage. And I will also use this sprayer here, spray bottle, to keep the foliage misted regularly, stop them from drying out. But they should do really well here now. I've also put the propagator back on now, and any cuttings that haven't rooted yet, whether it's old or new, are back in there now to root a bit longer. So I'll check it another week or two and then obviously pop them on. So if you like these Hydropod propagators and you'd like to buy one, have a look on greenhousesensation.co.uk. Thanks guys, see you next week, bye.